Well, I haven't addressed a group this large since my wedding, which was a few years ago. And I'll tell you what I told them then. I hope you have fun, but don't drink all the beer. Save some for me. Anyway, I also wanted to thank Faye. She put some notes together for me, which were very appreciative. But there were these spots that had quotation marks that said, "Any personal remarks as you wish." What if I don't wish? So I thought about it, and that probably wouldn't go over very well. So I thought, well, maybe I should do what I do when my kids ask me a question that I don't know the answer to. What do I usually do? I ask Google. Google or Siri for you Apple lovers, but for me it's Google. So I went ahead and I asked Google. I said, what would you say at a Chamber of Commerce function? I thought, what the heck? Why not give it a try? It seems to work for everything else I asked it. Well, I tell you what. It brought me to a site that I don't think had anything to do with the Chamber of Commerce. I didn't dare open it on a work cell phone. I said, forget that. No, that's bad news. So I tried it a couple more times, and it wasn't bringing me to what I thought would work. Finally, I did it the old-fashioned way. I typed it in. Rather than asking it, I typed it in. This time, it suggested I use humor. But in it, it also said, don't say any jokes about religion, race, sex, ethnic backgrounds, or anything that may offend somebody in the audience. Well, I guess it was just shit out of luck. Anyway, we got a packed agenda, so I'm going to move on with the program. Thanks for entertaining me anyway. So. Anyway, Faye recognized our current Chamber of Commerce members. And I would like to take a member to recognize a couple of outgoing board members. I'm going to announce these people and have them come up front. Please clap after I'm done. First, we would like to recognize Jennifer Coombs, who has served for 7+ years, and we would like to thank her for her commitment to the board, the Chamber Board, the Executive Committee, and several other various committees that she has served on. Jennifer, please come forward. Next, the Chamber of Commerce would also like to take this opportunity to recognize our outgoing board chair. We would like to thank Leif for his 7+ years of dedicated service to the Chamber Board, Executive Board, and of course several other various committees that he has served on. Leif, please come forward. I'm going to present both of these with a plaque that says, with appreciation for your exceptional leadership and dedication to the International Falls Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you again, both. Next, the Chamber also acknowledges the important service and volunteerism of those who serve on the Economic Development Committee, the Retail Committee, the Gizzard Girls, and the Ambassador Group, which assists in several Chamber's functions, including tonight. If you're one of those groups, please stand up. And thank you. Also tonight, we would like to commend Jenny Herman on being named Women in Business Champion of the Year. Now it says Faye comes back to podium.
Thank you, Tony. Way to go!
He's showing all our work. With the Chamber's mission, the Chamber's mission is to support the business environment. And in doing so, we ultimately create a better community. Chamber members are ultimately responsible for much of the community's health. They hire the bulk of the employees, they give the most to events and sponsorships, are the most likely to create expansion, and are the strongest support for new enterprise. Sincere admiration is extended to each and every one of the Chamber's members because each realizes that together much can be accomplished, much more than can be done alone. There's a group of businesses that are extraordinary in their support of the Chamber, and each has representatives here tonight to receive the Chamber's Pillar Award. The Pillar Awards, 6 of them this year, are awarded to Chamber members for their exemplary Chamber support with a combination of dues, monetary sponsorships, in-kind contributions, and service. These businesses illustrate epic support for building a strong community in which to operate. As these honorees are called up, please pause at the front for a photo or two and form a line with your fellow nominees, awardees in front of the table, please. The 2015 Chamber Pillar Awards go to Boise Paper, a division of Packaging Corporation of America. And Coca-Cola Bottling of International Falls. Essentia Health. Gerhardt's Floral and Gifts. KSDM, KGHS. And Mid-Continent Communications.
I gotta get a picture of everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2015 Chamber Pillars. Now it says Tony.
I missed that part.
I would like to introduce our first speaker tonight. And the Chamber is honored to introduce Mr. Randy Lasky. He's going to be here. He's here to speak on behalf of the Voice Forward Community Initiative. Randy is president and CEO of the Northspan Group, a Minnesota private nonprofit corporation providing business and community development consulting since 1985. Mr. Lasky has been with Northspan since the late 80s and has more than 35 years of experience in regional, economic, and community development in both the public and private sectors. His experience includes economic strategic planning and organizational development, business financing and community project funding development, marketing, and downtown waterfront redevelopment. Please welcome Randy Lasky.
Well, thanks, Tony, for that warm introduction. That was really awesome. Very great. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and talk about Voyage Forward. I'm looking for...
Oh, the clicker?
Yeah.
It's on the desk, sorry.
I'm not as humorous as Tony tonight, so sorry about that. it's really a privilege, as I said, to be able to come here and talk about Voyage Forward. And I'm really representing what I think is a great group of volunteers, leaders, ordinary people in this community that have stepped up to be a part of an initiative, a movement, whatever you'd like to call it, but it's happening here in the Borderland area, and I think it's just a great opportunity for all of you. I'm just going to spend a little time tonight. We've been all over the place with Voyage Forward. Really, we just introduced Voyage Forward to you last September. I mean, there was other things going on, but Voyage Forward really came forward as a concept, as an initiative in September. And there were 165 people over at Bacchus that night when we talked about, is this the time? Are we ready to do something? And it was a pretty resounding, yeah, we are. And so I think that just speaks well of the Couchiching area. And when I talk about the Voyage Forward initiative, it's not only International Falls, it is this entire area. And I always remind everybody, and they remind me, if you're from Little Fork or North Home, and those folks are coming to these meetings and being a part of this effort. So I think that's important. I'm going to go through a few slides, give you a little background, but I want to talk about where things are going, because that's a little more exciting for you. So why are we engaged in this? You'll recall that when Boise downsized back in the announcement in May of 2013, that was a pretty devastating blow. We hadn't seen anything quite like that for a number of years here. And that kind of a major downsizing is significant. It's very significant here. And so we decided that, you all decided, that we needed to have an immediate response to that, and we needed to start talking about charting a direction that includes diversification and talks about sustainable and maybe a little different framework here in Couchiching County. Maybe things we haven't talked about the way we are today, which is all positive. And we also talked about being realistic. We talked about sharing a vision, and we said we're going to plan from the future. We're going to plan from the future. Think about that. So who's leading this? The genesis of this was the economic response team, and there were 4 local officials that stepped up and said, we're going to do something. Not sure what that is, but we're going to do something. And that was Wade Pavlik and Rob Eklund with Couchiching County, and Mayor Bob Anderson and Pete Kaler at the City of International Falls. And they said, I'm not sure what we're going to do exactly, but we're going to figure this out. And we got involved. I got involved at that point. And I really appreciate that opportunity. I think a number of you know me. I've been around this community over the years and have a lot of respect for you all here, because I think you do a great job in an area that can be very difficult at times, and we all recognize that. So the 4 of those leadership folks said, we need to empower this community. And so we're going to get out of the way. We're going to ask community leaders to volunteer, step up, and lead this effort. And they've held to their word. They have set into motion that kind of empowerment. And the team's basically formed, moved forward, and we put some significant funding together. This is not an inexpensive effort that we're into. It's significant. And so that's how this really got going. We ended up putting together these 3 initial teams, and that was worker retention and assistance. It was business development and retention, and it was long-term vision and strategy. And we felt that those 3 areas needed our attention, and that's what we did. We then expanded that later on after Voyage Forward really was moved ahead, and we ended up adding the public engagement team, the BUZZ team. And I'll talk a little bit about that for a second. The folks that have stepped up here, we refer to them as stewards, and this is something we coined from work that was done in Bemidji Leeds and Advanced Hermantown and other places that have taken some steps along this line and been pretty successful. And let me just describe what a steward is, because it's important that you understand this. We're looking for ordinary people, all walks of life here. They care deeply about this community. And that's what this is about. They're leaders. They're willing to cross boundaries. That's significant. They're willing to build coalitions. If we don't build coalitions, we can't accomplish the kinds of things we need to accomplish. 360 vision. We need to be able to see things around us, environmental, economic, social. We have to respect all three of those areas. And we have to be able to operate at the center of tough issues and be risk takers. And it's important that we're passionate about what we're doing here. Those are the ingredients of the kind of leadership that has stepped up in other places, and it's stepped up here already. And we do have, I think, if I were to count just the formally active folks, we're probably upwards of 100 or more people that have been doing their part in different ways to move Voyage forward. And that's pretty exciting. That says a lot to me. And they're from all over this county. Maybe not as many from outside the borderland up here, but North Home, Little Fork, and so on. And Birchdale have been at the table. And so that's important to recognize that everybody's in this together. So what's this all about? Well, I look at this stewardship initiative, and you think about communities today in our region here that we all live in, and it's really got probably 4 key pieces. We're trying to be a more innovative economy. The technology, the global competition, the stuff that's going on. Look at the range today. 6 months ago, I don't think we would have been talking about the turnaround that has occurred in that short a time in our region. And I don't know, I'm one that begins to think this one is going to be a little longer than we ever expected. So that innovative economy is important. If you look at livable communities today, people are looking for places like you have, a quality of place that they value, and they want to work in those kind of environments. If you look at what's happening in Duluth, in our region today, I point to that and say that's quality of place that's really being promoted in an interesting way. That's a lot of that has to do with Mayor Don Ness down there. Social inclusion and diversity. I think we're going to kid ourselves if we don't seriously look at what social inclusion is all about. You have diversity in this community because you have a community college. There's no doubt about that. And diversity is going to be coming to a region like ours in a bigger way than we've ever seen because the demographics are already proving that. So again, that's another pillar or cornerstone. And then lastly, collaborative governance. Extremely important. And we're going to talk about that in the months to come. How we get on the same page, how we're aligned, and how we're working together and setting priorities is really going to determine how successful we are. And this piece of collaborative governance and civic mindedness and support for one another is critical to that. And that's my opinion. Where are we in this process today? Going back, I want to go back to when we first responded to Boise. We had a big push. We needed to address the impact on the families and the workers that were affected. And we did that early, and it was ongoing, and it's still ongoing today. We responded to the impact business needs that were going on. We had businesses that had a great relationship with Boise that were affected by this, and I know Jenny and others did a lot of work to help support those businesses at that time. We had a community call to action in September. That's what I've already talked about with you. And out of that, 65 people came 2 weeks later, and we had an engaged conversation, and the rest is moving forward today. We also engaged a national economic development consultant. And you know, first blush, why would we go out and find somebody nationally to figure out our problems here in the North Main? And all I can tell you is that my experience has been with this particular firm and others. They do an excellent job. They're the world-class consultants that are citing businesses all over this country, in Canada, and everywhere. And I think they're going to give us a good look. I think they're going to make us honest, and we're going to talk about what we've got to offer, but we're also going to understand where the warts are too. And I think that's okay. We need that as a region. We need that as a community if we're going to go somewhere and take advantage of the positive things we have here. So I'm excited about having that firm. The name of the firm is Newmark, Grubb, Frank, and Knight. They've been here I spent almost a week twice, talked to a number of the people I know in this room, and are really moving down the path to getting their work done. And then we've had this community engagement effort. And if you haven't heard 4 questions, I'd be awful surprised. We had that engagement team that I mentioned come together. They identified those 4 questions, and they went out and they've talked to over 800 people in this community. And that's in groups, that's a one-on-one, in a variety of ways. And they were objective, I believe. I think they listened to what you had to say. They compiled that information. And I've seen the initiative in Bemidji, I've seen the initiative in Hermantown, been a part of those. Not the Bemidji one for me, but the Hermantown one. And I can tell you, they didn't have that significant effort that was put forward by your team. And that just boils down to, we want to listen to people in this community and find out what they think. And believe me, they have gotten that information, and they're going to be rolling that out here in the next 2 weeks. So I know everybody's saying, well, where's the information? What's happening with that? It's coming, believe me. And also, I'm just going to give you a heads up. There's a community survey that's been put together. In fact, we're going to be finalizing it next week. And that survey is all about taking what we've learned and getting it out and really pushing and having more people respond specifically to the kinds of things we heard. Verify what we heard. Tell us what you think. And it's fairly broad. I hope you will take the time to complete that and be a part of that input. And that'll be the end of the data gathering side of this, okay? So this is the time to step up and tell us what you think with regard to that. And beyond that, there's been continuing technical assistance, and you also just heard about an economic gardening initiative. We're going to try and work with what we think are second stage growth potential companies, and you've got them in this community, in this area. So let's help them. Let's get them to a point where we're accelerating what's going on with them. And I know Jenny's leading that, and I think what I've seen in the pilot that was done in this region in the last year, pretty exciting stuff. They've really made an impact, and I hope we can do that here. And then lastly, there's a retail study that was just initiated here last month. It's just getting off the ground. You'll hear more about that. But I know there are a number of retailers here in this room as business owners that want to know what's happening with regard to the retail community. There'll be a Fort Francis piece to this. And so I think it's a pretty interesting piece of work that the University of Minnesota is going to be leading for us. So what's next? Oh my. Get to the good part here, man. All right, I'll do it. So what's next? We're going to roll out the results of those 4 questions. I hope you have a dialogue about it. We're going to be talking with the Journal tomorrow about how we're going to roll that out, and I think it'll be pretty interesting, and it definitely will generate some conversation. That area-wide survey is coming in June. We're going to roll out the consultant work, the strategic work that they've done, some of their recommendations, and some of the strategies and priorities they think are important for you. And we're going to have a dialogue about that, and we expect that out in July. So that's right around the corner. They've been doing a lot of work for the last 5 or 6 months. So look for that soon. The retail assessment, that's going to take a little longer. We're doing some pretty extensive survey work, and we're looking at probably August for that, just so that you know that's coming. And then you're going to hear this discussion about developing these destiny drivers. Well, that's just an interesting term for setting what we think are really important priorities. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that right now, but that's the coup de grace. That's really focusing on things we are going to move on in a big way in this community. And without getting into that, we'll talk about it when we get a little further along. So, good to great, what's our destiny? I mean, that's what this is about. Every community is unique. It's got its challenges, it's got its strengths, it's got opportunities, and we're no different here. We just need to be cognizant of what that is and leverage those opportunities. And that's what it's all about. And that's easy to say. What we're doing now, to me, is really a long-term venture here. This is long-term for you guys. This isn't just a process that's going to end in October or whatever. I believe that if we're going to make this what it needs to be sustainable. The Bemidji Leads began, I'm going to say, 8 years ago, and they're in 2.0 or 3.0 is what they call it, and they're continuing to do some pretty interesting things that nobody thought Bemidji would step up and do. And we talked about that back at Bacchus. So I'm hoping that you're all going to rally around what you think is important and voice those concerns. If you don't, I say shame on you. I think it's important that you say what needs to be said, work on what you think is important, and we all step up. This is definitely a marathon in my book. This is not a sprint. It's not going to solve every problem that we've got. And so we have to be realistic about that. So if we can manage those expectations, and if we can work together and align what we're doing, I think Couchiching area can have some success, some good success in the future. And that's your challenge. And I'm willing to be a part of trying to get you to that point, but it's really up to you. So I want to say thank you tonight. I want to thank those stewards for their steady work. They've stuck to their guns over the last, you know how long this has been, and I really respect what they've done there. The continued support of the leadership team. They said, we'll empower you, you guys go do it, we're going to get out of your way, and they've done that. I think that's important, so we need to thank them for their leadership. I'm also thankful for the positive and constructive engagement of community members and the response we got to that effort. You'll see what that's all about soon. I appreciate everybody's patience. This has been a fairly long process so far. We're not done. And the continued resolve that's been demonstrated here. So I would say my hat's off to you for the work that you've done to this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Randy. I just want to have everybody rest assured that your local Chamber of Commerce stands behind the Voice Forward 100%. And we need everybody to move forward. So please, everybody, if you put every input, we need everybody to work towards this goal. Our next speaker, the Chamber is tremendously proud, and some of the stuff you just know I didn't write. I don't hear lots of you tremendously on our face. The Chamber is tremendously proud to introduce our second speaker tonight, Mr. Bert Brown, manager of local Boise paper. When I first read this, I have to give you a little bit of a story behind it. The next line I thought said, Bert holds a degree in BS. I thought, what a great speaker. All right. You got it perfect. Anyway, Bert, yeah, my wife does work for you, but please don't take offense to it. So Bert holds a BS degree in mechanical engineering from Montana State University. He began his career with ITT Rainier and worked at 2 other pulp mills in the Pacific Northwest prior to joining Boise in 1995. Bert worked in various capacities in power and recovery, engineering, maintenance, and the production departments at the Boise St. Helens Oregon mill. In 2008, he relocated to the area to serve as operations manager at the International Falls facility. In 2009, he was promoted to mill manager at International Falls, where he's been ever since. Please help me in welcoming Bert Brown.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me? Okay. First I want to thank everybody in the audience in the chamber for inviting me to speak. It's really about giving some information on Boise and Packaging Corporation of America. And The first thing I need to start out with, though, is an apology. Is our CEO was intending to speak in front of this audience, and last minute his schedule didn't allow him to do so. So I'm standing in his place, but again, he would have loved to be here and speak with the audience. Not much different than Mr. Lasky is, I'm going to talk about sustainability because, we also felt, as a Boise family in the community, what happened in May of 2013. And it's something that, we really take deep to heart that, we got to figure out is how are we going to make our business sustainable? About 18 months ago, Boise joined Packaging Corporation of America. They acquired us. And this gives you a little bit of information as far as, it's a $6 billion a year annual revenue. And it's got about 14,000 employees. So it's a fairly big organization. It's now 8 mills, 94 corrugated plants. And when Boise was there and became part of this, is we had 4 mills. We had this mill, which is Uncle Appreciate Mill, one in Wallula, one in Jackson, Alabama, and then one in DeRidder, that was a brown mill. So about the same size as far as the number of mills. The difference is the number of box plants for Corporation of America. And then when they were acquired, as you can see, when we were acquired, that today we still generate about $1.2 billion of that revenue, so about 20%. So a big piece of PCA. And the one thing on the last one, it says generates good shareholder value, which is a big plus for a publicly held company, that we are providing value to our shareholders and are positioning ourselves well as far as generating revenue. Now, it's not easy. So, when you look at this, I don't want people to get excited and because this is something as far as sustainability and why you have a plan, is you can see the North American underappreciated demand and the compounded annual growth rate is declining. We've known that for some time. Electronic substitution is part of it. We do see some paper from offshore. So, we understood this for some time that the paper industry is not a growth industry. But the important thing is, how do you position yourself to still be one of the leaders in that industry? And that's what Boise is doing and PCA. So the other thing is, with the demand falling, that the industry has actually done a great job on ensuring that capacity is kind of following demand. So, unfortunately for us, that was some of the machines in 2013. But then there's been other companies, International Paper, Domtar, that's taken out some large mills and paper machines. So capacity and demand have kind of balanced. So what is Boise doing about sustainability? I'll start with Boise and then I'll get more into the International Falls Mill. But it says paper that performs. What it really means is we have to understand our customers, their needs, and exceed their expectations. So if we're going to stay in the game, we got to really understand what people need. So one thing that we understand and are becoming as the market shrinks is you have to have high quality. And so something that we talk about on a daily basis, and something that we've definitely improved over the years. Also a strong breadth of line, so it's really that one-stop shopping. A lot of bigger customers want to come to a business and buy all their paper requirements. So as you see, some of those up there is the copy paper, so the cut size stuff you put in your copy machines. Recycled, we make 30% here. You'll see that we make some 50, some 100, and in our Jackson, Alabama mill, it's more recycled product there. Pastels, premium multi-purpose, which is the hybrid laser, inkjet, and color copy, so the fireworks is stuff that pops. So I mean, we still make a lot of different paper for the office product sector. Also, we have HP Color Lock, so that's something new to us. It's more bold blacks, it's more vivid colors. It's again that pop that customers are looking at, differentiation between our competitors and us. We also state we're 99.99% jam free. And we'll back that up. We'll guarantee it 100%. So if people have trouble with our paper, we're going to replace it and do everything we can to make our customers happy. And then also we've been part of the Buyers Laboratory certification since 2014. So that's a piece of, as far as what our customers are looking for. The other thing is customers look for is they need paper, but they need it just in time. They're not interested in having a bunch of inventory on their floor because that's cash for them. So it's something that we got to figure out is how do we work with our customers to make sure that they have the paper within that day, that 2 days, that they need it without having, hundreds, thousands of tons sitting on their floor that is just chewing up cash. So as you can see, this is something that we've been proud of for a long time. Is we have a great service supply organization. We have 17 distribution centers, and the 2 paper mills again are I-Falls and the mill in Jackson, Alabama. But as stated is, we're really looking to deliver to our customers when they want the paper. So this 1 to 4 days, and you can see in the United States that we're going to meet the demands of our customers. 1 day, 65% of people are the customers in the U.S. After 2 days, 85%. So again, it's about just in time, making sure we have the paper when they need it. We have custom inventory programs and it's based on the need of the customer, not how it works for the machines or how it works for the mill, but really about our customers. And then we have a large distribution network to minimize the customer's working capital, as I stated. And so when you talk about the 17 distribution centers, they're strategically placed throughout the United States to make sure that we can meet this 1 to 2 day delivery time. The other thing is, as far as establishing the stocking levels to ensure the reliable service, is we're telling our customers that 95% on-time delivery, perfect order every time. So when they order 1 of this and 2 of that, it's not 2 of this and 1 of that. It's perfect every single time. It has to be that way. Making sure that the orders are there on time. And when we talk about on time, it's not within the day, it's within the hour, because a lot of people, again, are operating their equipment and their business based on, I need it in 15 minutes, not I need it in a week or 2. So it's something that in these efforts is we're listening to our customers. So when Mr. Lasky was talking about sustainability, is we did the same thing. We go out and survey our customers and ask them what do they need. How can we meet their expectations, which then plays into the sustainability of part of Packaging Corporation of America, Boise, and our mill in International Falls. And the other thing is, as far as what we've heard from our customers, that as far as sustainability, social, economic, and environmental sustainability are extremely important. So we've partnered with some very large organizations. So the American Red Cross, we're donating paper to their service centers to ensure that is just being part of a good neighbor, helping people that are out there and service organizations that are out there trying to help others. We're exclusive partner for Box Tops for Education, and you can see that we've donated over $9 million since 2012. So extremely important organizations for people in our community and then also outside. And then Project Up, that's something that is pretty can be dear to our heart. It's really about when you look at it, parks can be the heart or at the heart of a vibrant community. So you know, Mr. Lasky talked about community, and you know, what we're talking about is we want a community that's growing, vibrant, strong, sustainable, and part of what we see is parks bring people together and do you know, a lot of good. So you look at Smoky Bear Park, Curie Park, and what you think about is you think about all the great things that happen, the people that come together, the discussions, conversations that happen there, and it's really about community. And so what we did is we partnered with Alliance for Community Trees, and what they do is they take abandoned urban areas and they go in there, they plant trees, they make a park, they make it green, but it's something that people can be proud of their community. So most of it is in larger urban areas. So we did one in Minnesota, in Rochester, but we've done it in 29 cities so far. We'll continue to do that. So as we think it's extremely important. And it's something, again, our customers and people outside believe that, you know, a corporation the size of PCA or even Boise need to be responsible, you know, as far as social and economically to organizations and communities outside just the Boise PCA family. The other thing is we talk about is you know, our local manufacturing message. But you know, the one thing we take a lot of pride in is our paper is made in the USA, and it's made here in International Falls. So it's not. Nothing to take away bigger cities, but it's not New York and it's not LA and you know, it's not Atlanta. It's International Falls, and our paper goes a long ways. You know, we're talking about, you know, as far as saying our paper goes into Central and South America, up into Canada. We're talking about coming in Denver and stuff. So they see our paper in a lot of places, and that's the other thing is broadening our range and ensuring that, you know, we find new customers and again listen to what those customers' needs are. And then, you know, something that I am very proud of is our strong environmental sustainability message. So the one thing when I came here is, you know, one of the first people I met was Lori Lyman. And I didn't have a place to stay. I was living out in Rainier at the time at Terrace Wharf. And, you know, she invited me to come down and take a look at Shorewood. And, you know, we were fortunate enough to buy a place on the Rainy River. And one thing I'm proud and I get very excited about is I can go down there after, you know, sometimes a long, difficult day, throw my pole in the water or line in the water, and I can catch a walleye or a bass. And I'm not worried about eating it. I'm very proud of how clean our water is. I'm not going to say it's always been that way, but we work very hard at being environmental stewards. You know, the one thing is, you know, we're transparent in our sustainability. What we've done, and Dan Clevin and our Woodlands procurement managers really taking this off is we invite and encourage our customers and some of our end users to come and look and see what we do as far as harvesting the trees and how there's a lot of effort to ensure that it's minimal impact to the environment. The other thing, we're certified FSC and SFI. They have standards and principles to ensure that, you know, we harvest within guidelines, that we are having minimal impact on the environment. And then we also have the recycled products, but we're really about promoting the responsible management of our forests. You know, a lot of times that, you know, I think there's this fallacy that we're just interested in cutting down trees. Well, trees are a big part of, and a very major part of our process and industry. You can't make paper without it. But the one thing is, it's our livelihood. Without trees and without healthy forests, we don't exist. So it's extremely important for us to ensure that it's a healthy forest and that we are promoting sustainability and good management practices. So I said I was going to talk a little bit, you know, very briefly about PCA and a little bit about, you know, what we're doing, you know, on the business side. Because I'd say that's on the business side, even though that, you know, we're very involved with it. A lot of that, except for, you know, the sustainability around environmental practices, is our sales and marketing group. is we still are, even with, as we've, I would say we shrank with the shutting down of the two assets of the two paper machines and non-machine coder. We're still the third largest North American producer of uncoated free sheet. So we still make 1 million tons, which is pretty big. When I tell you is International Paper and Domtar are still larger than us, but I mean, we still hold a strong position in uncoated free sheet market. Our sheeting capacity between the two mills is 800,000 tons a year. So a little bit about, when I talk about the two mills, and I think a lot of people, know that we have a sister mill in Jackson, Alabama. They have a large machine also. So they have two uncoated free sheet paper machines, a Dean plant, and that's where a lot of the recycle. So when you see, office waste, it goes down to that mill. They run it through their Dean plant, the recycle plant, and they make a lot of the 50% and 100% aspen. They have 4-wheel sheeters, as we do, with the sheeting capacity of 430. So when you look at that 800,000, it's actually balanced pretty close between the two mills. A little stronger on Jackson, but still we got a pretty good. We can sheet a number of products here, and their capacity is again about on their smaller machine 110,000 tons a day or a year, and then on the bigger machine 380. Now more about ours, and I think you guys are well aware of ours. And again, as Tony said, I've been here 8 years and very proud of the organization, the people, and what we have here at our facility. But we also have the two uncoated free sheet machines. We have 4 wheels and 1 Lennox for specialty, so we can sheet in many different products for our customers, and with about 370,000 tons of sheeting capacity. And then we have our big machine I-1, so very comparable to J3, built in 1990. We still, consider it a new machine. Now we're talking, now it's getting a little older, it's 25, but we take care of it. If you ever get a chance to tour the facility, you'll be amazed that after 25 years, that people still treat it like brand new. They still are out there shining the control panels, making sure the floors are spit clean. I mean, it's really nice. They take care of their equipment. And the two of the newer uncoated free sheet machines in the United States. So ours was 1990, theirs was 1995. And the last bullet point on here is aggressive initiative plan to reduce costs. We understand we're not the low cost provider as far as manufacturing the lowest costs, but we do need to remain aggressive in managing our costs to the lowest level and still produce high quality paper and do it safely. So, since PCA, I said they've been here about 18 months, and I think, for the people that got to listen to Mark Holzan, our CEO, very dynamic speaker. I mean, he would be moving around, and you guys would be a lot more lively crowd with him out here. He really is back what he said. They said that, they're going to come in here and they're going to provide resources. They're paper makers. He came from IP, and a lot of the people that work in the senior leadership, they understand paper machines, they understand pulp mills, they understand recovery boilers. So they're not people that have been just in an office all their life. They know what work is, they understand what it takes, and they understand what it takes to maintain and run and operate a mill. So our capital spending, so when you look at both, again, Jackson and I Falls, it's higher since acquisition. They see that we need some insertions of capital funds. So we're funding discretionary projects. What we used to do is it was really base capital. It was really to try to maintain where we are. What they're trying to do is figure out is how do we improve? How do we improve our product? How do we make more tons at more costs? How do we improve the quality that our customers are looking for? They've provided additional maintenance capital. The one thing that's very unusual about PCA compared to a lot of the other paper companies, and as Tony said, that, you know, I've worked for a couple before this, is that most people or most companies have gotten rid of their technical groups. This company continues to grow their technical resources, which is extremely important as far as having creativity, innovation, doing things different, because that's what it's going to take. I mean, sustainability is not about staying where you are. And I think that's exactly what Mr. Lasky was talking about. Our community can't stay where it is. It's got to figure out what it needs to do. We need to do that also by, again, listening to our customers and then, you know, moving forward and doing something different than we did 10 years ago, yesterday, 20 years ago. And then at the International Falls Mill, you know, they said they came in here and there's a couple of things that they saw. You know, one is we've really reduced our storeroom inventory, and we didn't have the critical spares on hand. That we would take equipment down and we would be down for hours, maybe a day, to get to fly, to charter up parts up in here. They've allowed us to grow that so we can, you know, have higher reliability. Maintenance spending since they've been here is about $26 million. So again, an infusion of capital and then also expense money to maintain the mill. And then in, you know, we're coming up on our annual outage. It starts June 13th and goes through the 21st. But we'll spend about $10 million on our annual outage, and it's about improving the performance and reliability of the back end. And the back end again is recoverable in the pulp bleach, but they really look at, you know, the machines also. What can they do to improve the performance of the machine, but also meet our customers' demands and expectations. And then capital spending, this is a big deal. Is, you know, we talked about is discretionary projects, but we spent quite a bit of money as you know, improvements, not just maintaining. But the big one for us is, and the one that Mr. Pozan talked about last time, is, you know, almost a 60 megawatt turbine generator. That's a big deal for us. I mean, it allows us to be a little more reliable on ourselves with self-generated power instead of purchased power, and that's a big deal. And that's still on schedule to be online in October. So it hasn't slipped. We continue to fund it. They got a lot of resources here working on it. So when that comes up, that will help us considerably. So one thing, you know, as far as the competitiveness of the Minnesota forest products industry is, you know, we talked about it is competitive. It's not all roses. You see that it's decline. It's going to continue to decline. We just got to work smarter. And, you know, I was going to say harder, but harder is not just more hours, it's smarter. You know, the one thing is, the concerning thing is you see in the past 8 years, you know, several mills have closed, and that's very difficult on our region. And again, about what Mr. Lasky talked about as far as, you know, the mines and some of the industry in our state. But you see is, you know, the OSB mills, Weyerhaeuser Strand Lumber plant, the Verso paper mill didn't open up after the fire. Georgia-Pacific hardwood, but, you know, the products are still being made. Is what we got to do is figure out is how can we make them here on our machines, on our equipment, with our people in International Falls. So the DNR did a competitive study, and they came up with several recommendations. And, you know, we support the recommendations. You know, we got to put up more wood. We talk about that a lot. Again, that's something that since Dan's been here the last 5 years is that has been his charge, is to work with the state, work with the county, you know, work with the private landowners and increase the harvest level so we can get the wood that we need. Increase the availability of summer wood. It doesn't, you know, it's not all about Boise and with summer wood, but it's also about our loggers. Is if you think about them, 70% of our wood comes in during the winter months. Might be a little higher than that, 70-75%. That's a terrific drain on resources in a very short amount of time. If they could move that out or spread that out over the year, is then they're able to manage their resources, their spending, and they can make it instead of working really hard making all their money in 3 or 4 months, and then really being quiet for the rest of the year. So it's important to the mill to be able to have access to that timber, but it's also very important for our loggers. The funding improvements of maintenance of the forest roads and bridges, higher interstate truck weights is to be able to haul, again, not tearing up our interstates, but putting another axle on there so the load is no different, but it allows us to haul larger loads. Again, benefit for our loggers because they can haul more wood and it costs them less per ton then. Reasonable environmental reviews is, when I put this on here, it's not about trying to get underneath or bring them up so they don't do a good job of evaluating or reviewing the impact of the environment. It's really timeliness of the responses is, do the due diligence. We want you to do that. Again, we want to be environmental stewards, but do it in a timely manner because a lot of these things that we do is about strike now because in 6 months, the environment's changed. The customer base has changed, the products that we need to make has changed, so it's got to be pretty fast. And then more competitive electrical rates for energy-intensive traditional industries. One of our largest costs is our electrical rates. We talked about the turbine generator, that's going to help. We talked a lot about wood, and anything up here will help us as far as wood. So when people ask, what can we do? Is these are the things that, if we can support some of these initiatives, it does help Boise, but it also helps more people than just Boise, and more businesses. So, is really as far as where we are. So I want people to understand we're working awful hard to ensure that we're sustainable. It's important, I think, to the community, my community, and it's important to, our mill, all our mill, and my mill, that, we work hard to continue to be competitive and be sustainable. So my message really to you is, we're working hard. We've got a great parent organization company that is helping us and supporting us. We've got, there's 2 tables here from Boise that great managers, great people in the mill that are trying to make this happen. So, in closing, I'd like to thank the Chamber and the business community for the support they continue to show the mill. All of us went through a difficult time in 2013. It is, to watch people walk out, that had put 20, 30, 40 years into a mill, it is heart-wrenching. And, we want to make sure that we're doing everything that, again, we sustain the mill. But thank you for your support in our mill, because it's tough. I've not been in a mill before, when I said other mills were outside of the community a little ways. This mill is right in the center of our community. And so it's important that, we have your support and we're supporting you. And again, none of this is really can happen without the continued dedication of our employees. I can't say enough. We have a few here representing Boise, but I can't say enough about my team. I can't say enough about the people that come to work every single day and do exactly what we ask them to do as far as keeping this high quality, low cost tons, working safe, being environmental stewards, and really understand the needs of our customer and their expectation, because that's what the people do at our mill. Very proud of them. They continue to do that. Lots of times they don't like to see what happens, and again, what happened in 2013, but our charge is to make this mill sustainable, do what we need to ensure that we're here for a long time in this community, and continue to support the local businesses, the chamber, and everybody in this community. So thank you very much.
And I know Faye is looking at our program going right now, what is he doing going up to the podium again?
No.
Anyway, I want to thank you, Bert, for leading the charge for our major industry in this community. And also, I don't think you just have a BS degree. No. I think you majored in it. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for that enlightening information. Now it's getting to the podium.
How are you in sound? Okay? The 2015 Citizen of the Year is really a lifetime achiever and could have received this award many times in the past. But in the throes of his career, he let it be known the award should go to someone else. But all who celebrate who he is are so grateful to finally recognize Dr. Wade Himes for all he has done. A letter of submission signed by more than 200 of the doctor's admirers portrays a country veterinarian who operated for decades the Falls Veterinary Clinic off Highway 53. These nominators say he put care and concern for the animals he so often loved himself over payment or display. Other stories also convey the veterinarian's dedication to pets, livestock, and their owners, offered in an unpretentious style, juxtaposed by masterful skill. Shelley Morin, a familiar face at Falls Veterinary Clinic over several years, shared just a few stories, and we know there are hundreds more. She recalls a time when an older couple came in with their small dog with an obviously bad leg. After Dr. Himes checked her over, he sadly reported the dog had a torn ACL. A glance between the couple brought a tearful request that the dog be put down as they couldn't afford surgery. Shelley said Dr. Himes told her to go and for now place the dog in the kennel. Sometime later they returned and met Dr. Himes in that familiar little clinic window, and the lady asked if she could put $10 down. Nope, said the doctor, Merry Christmas. But it's not Christmas, she replied. It is today. Now take her home and get her well. The vet later told an emotional staff, that dog is the only thing that gets them up in the morning. They need that animal. And apparently there are many cases of midnight oil and going in around the clock to check on animals dancing with death and saving all he could. And how our hearts do break when pet loss becomes inevitable along life's journey. Shelley says that while all of them found it hard to watch a kitten or a puppy grow through the years and then have to leave, Dr. Himes knew how to talk to owners and pets when the time was near. But she said he loved to chat about everything with his clients, even a couple older gals who love to talk politics. Shelley's pretty sure that one lady brought her dog in for nail clipping a little more often than really necessary. Just to get those debates going. So along with the simple demeanor, the sympathetic eyes, the hands of expertise, is a man of heart who devoted the larger measure of his life in our community to saving and comforting the beasts that we care so much about. Here to award Citizen of the Year to Dr. Wade Himes is Shelley Morin, one who worked by his side for many years and who considers him family. Shelley?
Well, I can't ask anything more than she just said. It was a long, I worked with him for 23 and a half years, so it was a long time. Can you hear me out there? No. Well, I'm sorry. Talk away anyway. I worked with them for 23 and a half years, and they are like family to me. They've done a lot for our family, and it's, you can't beat that. So there's not much more I can say. Put it all in a lot of words. So without any further ado, I'd love to give you this award from the bottom of my heart and everybody's out here.
I certainly didn't expect this. Thank you very much.
About all I can say is thank you, and this isn't gonna take a long time. I didn't prepare a speech. But I'm gonna say thank you to the community, to the people of 3 counties basically in northern Minnesota for giving me the opportunity and the privilege to do what I chose to do as a profession for 50 years in this community. Before I came here, I did teach at the University of Minnesota. But I chose to come here because this is where I'm from, and I came home to where I am from. I enjoyed the practice greatly. People sitting at the table here have all worked for me at one time or another. My wife and daughter are also in attendance, and I thank them because wherever there's somebody that's successful doing anything, there's somebody behind you giving a little push on that. I have been very fortunate over the years to meet and work with some pretty substantial people within the field of veterinary medicine. Some of those people came for a number of years, and each spring we had a fishing trip with anywhere from 8 to 10 instructors from veterinary colleges around the country. I enjoyed that very much, and it was always a learning experience for me as well. I have a few pearls of wisdom that mentors have passed on to me over the years. My wife doesn't want me to give them all. However, I'm going to leave you with one. And this was given to me by Dr. Christensen, who was a Danish, not a veterinarian, but had a degree within the dairy industry. He discovered oxytocin, which people know better if they know the drug. It's used to induce labor, still being used today. He was knighted by the Queen of Denmark for that. Became a very good friend. I did work for him after I began practice here when he was working on another project based on immune milk. He told me one time, and I use it almost daily, man's great downfall is not necessarily his lack of knowledge, but sometimes all of his knowledge that isn't really so. You have to think about that. And we don't change for the sake of change, we change when change is necessary. That's it. So I'm just once again going to say thank you. I'll start talking too much here. But the practice in this area changed greatly over the years, and that's understandable. We used to have as many as 5 dogs anesthetized at one time with porcupine quills. You probably can only want about 3,000 quills. But that has changed with better control of the animals, care of the animals, I would say. And the practice is not like that. Thank goodness. Once again, thank you to everybody, and thanks for coming out, and thanks for the support. For those of you who have sent me cards and so on, I haven't gotten around to replying to all of those at this time, but I'm going to continue to try. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for those words of wisdom. I'll make sure I know that a little more. That was pretty deep. So we're getting to the end of the program finally here. So the ambassadors are gearing up. They're going to announce the winners, I repeat, winners of the silent options. And we would want you to make sure you pay for those before you leave and go home. Otherwise, we will hunt you down. Lastly, I do also remember we're selling centerpieces too. I believe they're $15 a centerpiece for the small ones.
Yes, sir.
If you see me in the corner, $10 a piece will go my way. As long as it's cash. Anyway, in closing, I had another one of those things today on my thing here, and I asked Google, and it still didn't know what closing remarks were. So I want to thank everybody for coming and invite everybody to stay and socialize. I understand there's a fair amount of donated wine left, and if you don't all drink it out, I'm gonna be late for a meeting tomorrow morning. So please stay and socialize for a while, and thank you.